Everybody, back to another episode of the Cyber Queens. We are your hosts today, Meryl, resident ethical hacker and offensive security expert.
I'm Erica Eakins, your technical sales rep.
And we are solo today. We are without Amber, who is off doing salesy things like SKOs or CKOs and things that I don't understand. Erica understands. I don't understand. So we will see her again when she's not busy doing that. But today's topic, we wanted to bring it back to something a little more technical, given that this is so prevalent in literally everything that we're seeing going on today with our friends and our coworkers and other organizations. And that is that there are breaches everywhere. Every day a new breach.
Every day.
New breaches all the time. If you're Uber, you're getting breached twice in the same year, which so sucks for them. So
it's not funny. It's literally not funny, but
it's not funny.
I just don't know what to say about these breaches anymore. Every day it's like I feel like I'm getting news about the breaches. Something with Google Fi, T-Mobile customers were impacted. I saw that yesterday.
And we just talked about mass layoffs in security and tech last week. And it's like, you see companies, I can't remember the company, Erica, we're going to have to look it up. One company laid off, I think it was Twitch, laid off their entire cybersecurity department. The whole security department at once. They decide they're going to start outsourcing cybersecurity or something. They're like, we don't need these internal peeps anymore. So I'm like, gee, why are all these breaches happening? We're getting rid of all the professionals who know how to stop them. And then when you hire them, you don't listen to us. We're like, we need this, but do we really? Yes, we do. Well, we'll just wait till we get breached and see if we really needed that.
Honestly, from the sales perspective, I've had customers in the past tell me, I'm good. We have no security holes in our environment, and I'll just pay the fine.
Okay. When you're talking about risk appetite, so risk appetite, for those of you who don't know, who are new to security, risk appetite is a organization's quantified risk that they're willing to accept to do business. So the most secure way to do business is never to put your computer on the internet, right? The internet is risky. It would be to keep it off the internet, but that's not very useful. So you accept a certain amount of risk putting your computers and your assets on the internet in order to be able to Google things and access things, but you're accepting a certain amount of risk. That's your risk appetite. You're like, I'm willing to accept the fact that I might get a malicious email. Someone might get my email, whatever, if I go on the internet. So that's your risk appetite. So some companies bake into their risk appetite that they think they can survive the fines. They don't need to do due diligence. They don't need to pass audits, because if they get breached and they get fined, they will be okay. This is a horrible philosophy. And if your company has this philosophy, don't walk, run. You run towards the exit at the speed of excellence.
You should just fire yourself if you have that attitude. Sorry.
Yeah, you have no business being in security. So that is a risk appetite. And so we're just seeing lots of security pros get laid off. When you do have security pros, you don't listen to us. A lot of people, in fact, ask me when organizations start purple teaming. And I'm like, usually the first one is in the middle of an incident or a breach. And they bring the hackers in for some reason. They're like, help us find the problem. Does this look like something you would do? And we're like, oh my God, incident response is literally not our job. But it becomes our job to coordinate with the blue team to try and find the malicious actor. It's horrible. So anyway, today we are going to focus on two of the latest and greatest breaches to plague our lives. That's Uber and LastPass. We're so sorry, Uber and LastPass. Our hearts are with you. We play this small violin in your honor. But what we're going to do is talk about how these happen from an offensive perspective. I'm going to do a little bit of my thing and tell you folks how this happened, how people like me do this. And then we're going to get into some things you as the average user can do to protect yourself. Start thinking about baking security into your life every day, because you're on the internet. And like we just said, that's risky. So it's really important. And then some things you can do if you are compromised, maybe some advice for organizations as well. So we're all going to go.
Yeah, well, as an offensive security person, I know what you're going to say, but from a sales perspective, people think I'm not technical. I am. For the folks that don't know this, I am actually technical. And I just literally walk out shaking my head sometimes. Yep, we cut the security budget and we upped the freaking bonuses for our CEOs and CTOs.
Why did this happen? Well, because we have an 8-character password policy, and people like Eric are like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah, and the
Nope.
CEO's password is literally password.
Oh
Still,
god.
there's people.
No,
No
it's
offense,
password
CEOs.
2023 now. It's new year, so
So
now it's password 2023. Okay.
yeah, because they make you put a number. No
It's a
offense
new
to my execs
year.
out there. My
Update
execs
your
out there, I
password.
love y'all, but you guys are doctors and execs are like a nightmare for the cyber security teams.
Yeah, y'all really are. Okay. So, in talking about the Uber breach, how did this happen? How did it happen? Okay, well, first, it's important to note that it happened two ways. First, unfortunately, Uber was breached internally. What that means is Uber's systems were the systems that were breached. And how this happened was because several employees' devices were compromised, and they haven't told us how, but since the threat actor is alleged to be Lapsus is a threat actor that gained emergence and popularity and fame in like 2020, 2021, pulling off some high profile hacks and bragging about it unabashedly in the dark web. Like they just brag left and right that they are responsible. But they are very good at social engineering. And if you saw my post a few days ago about the Marines bypassing the super fancy AI detection, it's that like at the end of the day, there really is no good defense against social engineering. It's just training your people on what to look for. Always be suspicious of people asking for things and asking for information. Feel free to trust, but verify. Actually, don't trust. Always verify. Don't trust. Always verify.
And
Go
be
ahead, Eric.
aware of spoofing. I just want to add, be aware of spoofing. If you get an email from your CEO asking for something and he or she never emails you, please verify who the sender is. It's really easy to just click on the person's name, even in your personal email. Click on the email address or the
Hover,
name,
and
hover
look at
or
the
hover.
domain.
Look at the domain, and I teach my kids this, right? Because at home we have to be safe and don't ever click on anything. Just see who's sending you the email. And a lot of the times it's a fish or a credential hack that they way that they get in.
Yeah, PSA, if your CEO is not asking you for things on the regular because you're not their assistant and you're not a VP they go to, today is not the day. You are not special. You are not picking your CEO Apple gift cards. That's not a thing. That's never going to be your day. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. I never use that pretext. We call those pretexts in my industry a pretext for a fish. I never use that pretext, even though apparently it's wildly successful. Because I think people are going to see right through it, but apparently they don't. So anyway,
Well, and security training and awareness exists for a reason. So when you guys get tested internally in your organization, don't get mad at the cybersecurity people because users are sometimes the biggest threat, which is insider threat. So we have to do this to you. They have to test you. But go ahead,
and
Meryl.
please take it seriously. Please take it seriously. We do it for you. I know how to spot a fish, but do you know how to spot my fish? Because I don't put typos in my fishes. I'm not that easy. So
Yeah, they're good.
um,
They're getting
anyway,
better.
oh, we're getting better. So anyway, several employee devices were compromised via social engineering. Apparently, the threat actor impersonated an IT worker from Uber, went to a contractor. This is very popular. This is like a supply chain attack with an internal breach. And a supply chain attack is when a threat actor targets your third party vendors and the contractors that you work with, betting that they will be less secure but have access to your data. And that happens a lot of times, as with this one. So an IT worker from Uber went to a contractor, said, hey, I'm with Uber. We need to check on some things, probably the TLS protocol, probably the shared environment protocol, got them to give them their passwords. They just happy took those with them, gave themselves a little backdoor, and started posting credentials to the dark web. They got access to the internal G Suite, so the Google products and the Slack. And not only were they obnoxious and posting like graphic images for all the employees to see everywhere, apparently, like, well done, I guess. They reconfigured DNS. They also ended up exfiltrating, which is to say stealing, making leave the environment a significant amount of data. And so that was the breach that Uber was found to be guilty of covering up. So they didn't really handle it properly. And not all of Uber, the CSO covered it up. So that was the first breach. Then they were breached again. A second supply chain attack, unfortunately. This was a third party called Tectivity, which does asset management for Uber. And asset management is where like it helps you keep track of all the devices live on your network, and you inventory them all and see what operating systems you got, so you know how many endpoints are running like Windows 7, which no one should be. It's super vulnerable. Like, you know, you look for vulnerable ports and things like that. So asset management. So Tectivity, unfortunately, was also the victim of social engineering. The threat actor was able to gain unauthorized access to an AWS backup server housing Tectivity source code and its customer data files, of which Uber was a customer. So they actually had their source code unsecured in a backup. They were able to use current developer credentials to get access to those. And, they just exfiltrated all the source code, grepped for a bunch of keys, found a bunch of logins, and, we are kings of the kingdom now. So that's what happened.
I know, like, we're in security, and I'm just like, man, this is just so juvenile, but it happens every day, apparently.
It happens every day.
Oh
This is why it's important to rotate keys frequently, use strong password policies and password history policies, password lockout policies, MFA. These are all things that would not necessarily completely stop the bad thing from happening, because we will get creative, but it would at least make it harder. And sometimes the harder you make the hack, the hackers will go look elsewhere for a lower hanging fruit.
But I know we're going to talk about this, but what if you use something like LastPass and they get breached? Then what, Meryl?
Okay. I'm going to put all this out there for all of you. I am a big advocate of using a password wallet. I am. I still use a password wallet, and I was a LastPass premium customer, and my vault got copied. Okay. It happened to me. What did I do? So a password wallet is something that is a third-party service. It usually lives in a little extension in browser, and it stores and automatically fills for you complex passwords. It will also serve as your MFA token if you want. OnePass will do that for you. LastPass doesn't really. LastPass prides itself on not keeping copies of your password, your master password, to your vault. So if you lose your master password, no one can recover it for you. They don't store it on the server side, which is so great because it's more secure that way. But also, if you forget it, you're starting over from scratch. Nobody's going to get access to that vault now. It's dead to you. But vaults themselves, copies of your vault with all your passwords in it, are hashed and encrypted and stored. And that was stolen. So my vault was copied and stolen. And is this a problem? Yes. But what you have to realize is that the hackers have to brute force my master password to get into my vault, right? And if there's one 30+ character password that I memorized, did not put in the vault, it's that one. So I know that that's long. It's going to take them eons to crack my password. If you used an 8-character password, they had it in 2 minutes. I'm sorry. That was you. I'm sorry. So not only did I go in and start changing all my passwords, I had it rotate every password for like Google and LinkedIn and all the things, but I also changed my master password to another longer password.
Did you leave LastPass?
I'm going to. My subscription's up in March, and I do think I'm going to hop over, only because I was going to do it anyway for the MFA thing that OnePass does. Bitwarden's also a good one, but LastPass doesn't incorporate MFA, so I still have to like whip out my phone for Google Auth, and it's like wicked annoying. So I was going to switch over anyway.
So OnePass is good, because I was going to go to LastPass literally the day before they announced that, for my personal stuff, the day before they announced that they got breached, I like downloaded LastPass on my personal device because I've used it in the enterprise. The enterprise, it's great. I never used it because I used something else on my personal stuff, and then they got breached. So now I'm like, I'm in all these Slack channels, and people are giving advice on which one to go to. So OnePass, is that good?
OnePass is where it's at. Not yet been breached. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't happen for you guys. I really don't, now that I've said it in the universe.
I can't take it.
I know, but I am still a big believer in them. I believe in the theory behind them. I believe in like the science and like the reasons of why we use them. Anything can. The vaults were copied, but they were still encrypted. They still have to brute force all your master passwords. So if you change your master password and they brute force your master password and they try it, guess what? It's no longer valid. So pretty much as soon as they have all these thousands of passwords to brute force, if we all start changing them, we just made that effort completely useless. So they do have to still crack that to get to your other passwords. And then I think even those are encrypted and hashed. So then they have to brute force all your other passwords. So it's like, they're probably looking for like 1 or 2 specific people, and they just end up stealing the whole thing to like,
maybe they got lucky.
We'll just take what we can get. But I do still have LastPass. I have not yet been breached. God, I hope it doesn't happen to me. It shouldn't.
I hope not.
Something
this is what I put up in meetings. I put why?
Why
do people do this? Why? It's my little whiteboard. Sorry.
Usually in meetings where we're discussing password policy and administrative policy, they make me go off camera so you can't see me go.
So they can't see you cringe?
They're like, Meryl's muted, right? Meryl can't speak. Okay, great.
Seriously.
I'm like, what? What did you say? No, okay.
Somebody in the comment, sorry, not to interrupt you. Somebody in the comments said that's the BEC campaigns we've been seeing over the last few weeks. It's super
prolific.
Prolific. BEC, business email compromise. A lot of your security products offer protection around that, and just know that. Know what your protection is and stay on top of it. Be proactive and not reactive, because then I have to come in and clean up the mess and charge you a crap ton of money for professional services and my products. Please don't do this to us.
Or
Why?
be lazy and reactive and make my job easier.
Yeah,
Choose your own
I mean,
adventure. Doesn't
that
really
too.
matter.
Companies are not proactive. Sorry, y'all. Private and public sector, you guys are not proactive. You wait until this crap happens. And you know what makes me mad? What is the freaking like, what's the ramifications for these companies? Why are they, I know they have to give you like, the monitoring stuff, identity monitoring, but what's really happening to them? They pay a fine? Whoops.
Yeah. So the companies themselves usually try to invoke their cybersecurity insurance if they, first of all, you have to qualify for it. And then if you get the policy, it's astronomically expensive. But then when they do try to invoke it, the cybersecurity insurance company is going to say, okay, show us your due diligence. How did you try and prevent this from happening? And once it did start happening, how did you try and identify, contain, and eradicate the problem? Why did it result in a breach? And why was it not simply an event or an incident, which is before it gets to breach means data has left the environment. Before that, it's an incident we can relatively contain. So why did it become a breach? And you have to explain yourself. And the feds can fine you. Private regulatory bodies can fine you, like PCI and stuff like that. So you'll get fined.
Not to mention the executive order around supply chain security that came out at the end of the year from the current administration.
Ooh.
Y'all need to read that, because you were supposed to be compliant by January 14th. Certain industries or sectors, I'm assuming it was government, had to be up to speed and compliant by the 14th, but maybe it's everybody else too. I'd have to read it again. I've been talking to people in the industry that don't know about this software supply chain executive order, and a lot of it has to do because they're not in the cloud, and they're selling other products. But why do more people not know about this? I am a salesperson.
They're not up on cyber news. And honestly, if you haven't heard of this executive order and you don't know what to do, what it's asking or demanding, and how to prepare for it, my boss, Chris Hughes, did a wonderful webinar on this, actually with the Aqua folks. So we'll link that in the notes. You can watch it and educate yourselves. It's basically the federal government's attempt to say, we're no longer suggesting and asking that you take care of these things and that you pay attention to your supply chain and make sure your vendors are operating securely. We are now commanding that if you do business with an insecure vendor and you are breached as a result of them being breached, we're going to blame you too. It's not, oh, that was them. That was all them. That wasn't us at all. You're going to get blamed also. So
yes,
you're going to be liable.
I don't want to hear people like, oh, it's America. We have rights. Don't tell us what to do. They can't regulate. The federal government can't regulate. Well, in certain instances, I agree. The government should not control us. But the reason that these things happen is because companies and people in this country do something to make these things happen. So you ever see a rule or a law that you're like, that is so stupid that even has to be stated? It's because we don't fix it and we're stupid.
You know what? I used to work for Caesars Entertainment, right? I used to work for Caesars Entertainment. At my orientation, there was a rule in the manual that says no smoking crack in the hallways. And that seems stupid, but you know why it has to be a rule? Because at one point, somebody did it. Somebody did it. So the reason these things have to be laws is because at one point, someone did the stupid thing. And we are trying to prevent more stupidity from spreading.
Here's a comment. Per the MDDR 22, 98% of all security issues can be prevented if organizations just do their job and pay attention. So I'm going to link the executive order on the post notes. So when we repost this, I'm going to try to find the executive order. I'll make sure that I find the right one, Meryl. But I cannot believe that people still do not know about this. But yeah, that statistic is insanely true.
Yeah, what Brandon's referring to is like the basics. No one does the basics. They're like, bam, we set up an environment. Let's get XOR and MDR. And I'm like, whoa, did you do the CIS first 6? They're like, what? The CIS, the Center for Internet Security, has a list of about 20 controls that at the minimum a company should be doing to keep themselves secure. And those first 6 are, guess what? Asset management, license management, software and hardware management, vulnerability management, change management, identity and access management. That's like 7. But I mean, it's management of the very basic things. What software licenses do we have? What are our user provisions and permissions and RBAC and role-based access control and things like that? If you're not doing the basics, you have no business doing the sophisticated, because once we get past your fancy firewall, and we will, it's open season back there.
Well, and the security people sometimes are throwing their hands up because that, like I said earlier, companies cut cyber and security budget like first because of whatever reason. They think it's not important. They don't get it. And that the security people are overworked. The pen testers, the blue team, red team, purple team, they're all overworked. I'm telling you right now, Chat GPT is going to take the executives' jobs eventually, because it's just going to tell everybody what to do and how to do it, and they're not going to need it.
Yeah, I dare everybody to go type into Chat GPT, how do you secure an organization? And I want to see what it says. I guarantee you, y'all are doing half of it. You're not doing half of it. Certain executives feel like, well, we're not going to be a target. We're not a target. No one would want our customer data. We're too small. There is no target too small. There's no actor too small and no target too small, because smaller targets with enough information lead to bigger targets. Like, maybe I steal your name one day. Maybe I steal your email one day. Maybe I steal your address one day. And eventually I have a whole profile. Now I can impersonate your identity. Like, there is no piece of info too small.
What do you want me to ask?
How do you make an organization like cyber secure? Like, how do you secure an organization's data? Something to that effect. Someone in the comments says alert fatigue. So alert fatigue is a thing. This is where, honestly, purple teams play a really strong role. If you are supposedly identifying on, blocking, or mitigating certain things, but you've never confirmed it, purple teams come in, and we do incorporate that pen testing aspect of like, let's offensively test. But then we don't just say, okay, well, that didn't work. Here you go. What we do is we say, how do we fine tune this? Like, we can't alert every time someone uses clipboard. That's stupid. But can you alert when people use clipboard from the command line? Can you alert when people use certain native syntax, binaries, libraries, like certain commands do certain things? Can we alert around that? Or can you daisy chain alert? So this isn't bad by itself, and this isn't bad by itself, but maybe. So we're trying to really automate as much as we can. And if you do have to manually investigate, if you do have to look at the alert, we want to make those manual investigations more value added. That's my small purple team spiel for the day. I'll be done. What does it say?
I'm going to start bringing this up in meetings to customers. Okay.
What does it say?
It gave me 8 options. So it started with securing an organization's, what I asked it is, how do you secure an organization's data? It said securing an organization's data involves implementing several best practices and techniques, including the following. Number 1, access control. And then it tells you limit access to data based on the principle of least privilege. Duh. Woo! Number 2, it tells you the best practices, and then it tells you why. Number 2, encryption. Encrypt sensitive data, both in storage and in transit. Backup and disaster recovery. Regularly back up your data and have a plan in place for disaster recovery. Number 4, network security. Secure the organization's network using firewalls, virtual private networks, VPN, and other security measures. 5, user education and awareness. Educate employees on security best practices and raise their awareness of potential threats. So those annoying emails that you get from that are a fish that to see if you're like clicking on stuff, that's one of them. Number 6, regular security audits and assessments. So regularly assess,
which none of you are passing. None of you are passing
security posture. And the vendors and the resellers come in and tell you guys to do this, and you think we're just trying to rip you off. No, you need to do security audits and audit your security posture. Number 7, software and system updates. Keep all software and systems up to date with the latest security patches. So don't be on version 1.0 and we're on like 20.2. And number 8, threat monitoring. Continuously monitor for potential threats and immediately respond to any incidents. These are some of the key steps for securing an organization's data, but there may be others depending on the specifics of the organization's needs and infrastructure.
Oh,
ChatGPT, mic drop.
ChatGPT is smarter than half of the executives out there. I swear to God.
Some security people too. No offense, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, that continuous monitoring, threat actors, identifying threat behavior, threat modeling, risk assessments. Like this is all part of what I do. And say it with me. It should all be done with CTI. Influenced by CTI, which is cyber threat intelligence. If you're not using cyber threat intelligence, you're just guessing. You're gambling. You're throwing a dart at the minor matrix and saying, "I hope this pays off."
So
anyway,
yeah, when you're
that's a talk for another time. Meryl will talk threat modeling another time.
When you want to get rid of your threat intel team, think again.
I'm gonna type into ChatGPT. I'll do this on a little video later. I'm gonna type in there, who are my threat actors if I work in a certain industry? I'm just curious what it says. I want to know if it could be a CTI feed all on its own. I'm very curious.
Listen,
anyway,
it's a 14-year-old in Europe. They're the hacker groups. Brandon, I agree with you. ChatGPT for the win. These hacker groups are like young kids, most of them. Scared for our future.
The skitties are poning Microsoft. It's not good. So some of the high-profile breaches last year: Okta, Microsoft, Rockstar Gaming, Uber. I mean, the list goes on. And all of those, by the way, were one threat actor. That was all supposedly LastPass. And some of us, he might be a 14-year-old in the UK. We're not sure, but I do think he's got buddies now. But LastPass is, like I said, a new threat actor. He's gained popularity recently and really good at social engineering, really good at manipulation. So that's how they get their basic ins.
They're a team or one person?
They got to be more than one person by now.
They have to.
I would assume. You know.
Okay.
Anyway, so the potential ramifications to address Erica's earlier question. So for an organization, this can be broken down into like technical impact and business impact. So technical: loss of confidentiality, loss of integrity, loss of availability, your services and your data, loss of accountability. You can no longer prove that you're treating data as securely as you say. Your business impact: financial damage, fines, reputational damage, PR nightmare, non-compliance, more fines, privacy violations, even more fines. Are we seeing a trend here? So please do your due diligence. But for the basic user, the ramifications are much worse because, like I said, when one piece of your data is stolen, those are sold on the dark web and people are putting together like one piece at a time, entire profiles of people. And once they have access to certain pieces of your PII, your personally identifiable information, your PHI, personal health information, they can steal your identity. They can impersonate you. They can sign you up for things you weren't aware you signed up for. They can stalk you. They can stalk your children. They can figure out where you live, where they go to school, how much you pay in taxes. They can blackmail you, bribe you, leverage you. Like these are all major concerns. If you even have a significant amount of debt or like a really bad credit score, the government won't even give you a top secret clearance because you're just a liability for that kind of thing. So the ramifications to the daily user are really freaking bad. Like sex traffickers buy these sets of data to stalk you where you shop and where you work out and where you live. This is very serious for the basic user.
Well, and for people that work in the industry, somebody, I want to read this comment, and this is so important for this because people, if you say you're secure as in your network, this somebody just commented, yes, biggest issue I've seen in so many companies I've worked in, out of rev software or remote servers. So I think you're talking about things that are just chilling on the network that, you know, may or may not be updated. They might just be sitting there, but it's an access point to get in. Is that what this user is talking about? Because if you have like, let's say you have a Cisco switch, and you don't renew the SmartNet, because a lot of people just keep using the switches and they don't renew the software and whatever. Somebody can still get into those types of devices. Anything that's on your network, beware, because these hackers find any way to get in, and they're smarter than us. They're 20 years ahead of us, and they will stalk you. They will make it personal because they don't care about you as a person. They want what you have, money, whatever, power, whatever it is. Everybody's a target. It's no longer just companies, everybody.
If I see a Cisco ASA on a network, I'm immediately Googling what the default credentials were for that device for that year, because they literally tell you how to log into like the switch or the whatever, the router
Yep.
or the firewall for the first time. And I'm like, I wonder if you disabled the default admin account. You didn't. You
Nope.
didn't.
A lot of them
And now
don't.
you want to shut down all the ports I'm using to host my malware? Cool. I'll just go in and open them right back up. Thank you.
You're security operations people. I love you guys and ladies because alert fatigue and all this other stuff we're talking about, you deal with this on a daily basis. And when I come in and I try to help your business and sell them something, yes, I'm trying to make money, but I do have a passion for this. Trust me that I understand your frustration with your higher ups and who has a relationship with somebody at Cisco or Palo or wherever company, and you don't want to implement it. I feel you guys on that. All I can tell you is just keep trying and keep bringing up stuff like this. This episode and like all of these breaches, keep presenting your cases over and over and over and make it about the liability to the company. Because when I come in and say that, I'm using scare tactics, the FUD, or ambulance chasing. That's what they call it, ambulance chasing, because I can't talk about these things because it's just me ambulance chasing and whatever. It's not that we do this. Some people do it to ambulance chase, but it's not that we do it just to chase the ambulance. It's that it's only going to get worse. Like the next generation that we're trying to bring into cyber, they're already light years ahead of us. These little mofos are so smart.
Yep.
So smart. And I've been learning about hacking and all kinds of stuff. And literally I learned about the levels of hackers, like, beginner all the way through script. Yeah. Script kiddie. I cannot tell you how many times I did that before I even came in the industry. I didn't know that I was a technical person until I found this industry, but I was like, man, I could hack in easily into a Wi-Fi at a Starbucks. I don't do it, so don't come and arrest me. I'm just saying it's super easy. So when your company tells you don't connect to Starbucks, connect through your VPN, just freaking do it, because anybody can get into a Wi-Fi. Anybody can steal your credentials.
There are people who hawk out in airport lobbies and just steal people's passwords. It's not hard. Anyway, by the way, Erica said FUD. What that means is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. When you market through fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you're basically trying to use the scare tactics. Like, the bad thing's going to happen if you don't buy this. We don't want to do that because that results in security theater, which is like non-value added security and like spending money for the sake of spending money without actually getting ROI back on it. But we are here to tell you the real of the possibilities and the implications. And it's up to you. If you tell me secure 11,000 assets with 3 people and a $10,000 budget, you're going to get what you pay for. You can have it good, fast, or cheap, but you can't have all 3. Or
have Chat GPT do it for you.
Or have Chat GPT. Just Google Chat GPT. What is the best way to secure my blah, blah, blah? It will point you in the right direction. If it's something Erica sells, call her. If you want it validated, call me.
Hack as a service, big business on the dark web. Yeah, if you want Meryl to fix, if you need somebody to fix it, call Meryl. Hack as a service, big business on the dark web. It's almost like as large as this global sex trade, or the trafficking trade.
You know what? The reason they still do it is because it's lucrative. If hacking wasn't a lucrative business, they would stop doing it. But it's working, and they're making a lot of money. That's why it's still happening.
And we're getting stupider. I feel like the industry is getting stupider and the hackers are getting smarter. I'm sorry, guys and ladies, but I feel like we're so far behind. Like,
it is China is sending hackers to SANS courses. They are getting GSEC and GPen level hackers because they're $12K a pop, SANS. And then us over here are like, I have a Sec Plus, but I'm gonna fight the big hackers. And I'm like, I actually do
catch
that.
You on the dark web.
I'm pointing fingers at myself, but it's true. Like we need to stop that mentality. Okay, so we do have to start wrapping it up.
Yep.
If your account is compromised, you're a basic user. You're not an enterprise user. You're not an organization. But if you, a basic user, are compromised, some things you can do: change all the passwords. It's a pain in the ass. Change them all. If you don't change that password, that is your risk appetite. You are saying, I accept the fact that might be hacked because I don't want to change that password. And if you get a suspicious email or phone call, simply go yourself somewhere else and log in and check that thing. If someone comes to me and says, we tried to deliver your package because everyone's ordering from Amazon, it's an add to cart kind of day. Like if I see, your package was delayed, like click here to like approve us to deliver it or whatever. And then I have to log in. I'm like, that's sus. So then I call and I'm like, is this delayed? They're like, no. I'm like, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and
So just
if there's a link in the email, like she said, go pull up Google and type in the web address yourself. Don't click on it. Go ahead.
don't click on it. Don't click on it. And always hover over your links and see what the domains actually are. Also, if you pay attention to the redirects, once you click on a link up top, you'll bounce to several places sometimes. That's them bouncing you around various domain names that they own and proxies, and you'll go to like bighotdog.com, takeyourdogforawalk.com, and then you'll land at like fakefedex.com, and you're like, oh, that's not sus at all. Because we
Yeah.
literally can't keep thinking of domain names, so we just go and buy expired domain names, and they're so random. It's so funny. But pay attention to
Yeah.
these things. Like, be
And don't
vigilant. The best thing you can do is be vigilant.
and don't click on stuff that people send you via Messenger, your IG, but go ahead.
Oh my God,
Just had to add that in.
smishes are big right now. Like, if you
Oh,
sign up for
yeah.
SMS messages from your favorite place to shop, insert store here, they all do it. And they're like, ah, we are Macy's because we saw you shopped there one time. Click on this for the latest catalog. That's a fish. Don't do it. So ways to secure yourself. Use long passwords, not complex passwords. It's no longer about how many symbols you use. It's about how many characters you have. For those of you who aren't aware, because you're not a hacker, there are ways to break halves of your password. I can crack like a 7-character password in under 2 minutes, like a 14-character password in like 45. 26-character password takes me like 200 hours, but a 36-character password would take me like 300 years. There's no.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I know one person with a rig who can do it. I won't say there's no rigs out there, but it takes a lot longer. It's a lot more complex.
And for the password management, if you don't want to download one of these, services, go old school. Get a freaking notebook, write all of your passwords down and update them as you change them and put it in a safe. That's what I started doing. I started writing everything in it, putting it in my safe.
Okay.
Keep a lot. You can keep your. Somebody told me that their in-laws did that, and I was like, "That's stupid." Then I'm like, "Wait, that's freaking genius! You could buy a password notebook from Amazon, so it's like set up to write down all your passwords, and then when you change it, you go to another page, dude. Just write it down and throw it in a safe." I used to think my dad was crazy that he did stuff like that, and I was like, and he wanted to like go off the grid and stuff, so he's kind of like way out there with his tinfoil hat. But I love you, Dad. But I was like, he doesn't want to freaking have anything out there. Stuff is out there of his, but he wrote everything down and put it in a safe too. Now that I think about it, and I was like, "What this crazy old man? Look at me now."
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something you can do. You can also please stop. Don't make a contact in your phone named passwords and keep all your passwords there. If we compromise your phone, which is really easy to do, that's the first place we're going to look. Stop storing your passwords in browser. Like if you use a password vault that will autofill it for you, same effect. But if you store it in browser, I steal your browser session or I download your browser cookies. By the way, Safari cookies are not encrypted. Safari cookies are not encrypted. Ooh. Easy to steal. Then I don't need your password because I can just mimic your browser session and you already logged in for me. Thank you very much. So don't store browsers. Don't store passwords in your browser. Don't create contacts in your phone that say password. Don't create email contacts called passwords. Don't do it. Don't create folders on your desktop that say passwords. Don't do it. Use a password vault. I'm still a believer in password vaults. I'm going to switch to 1Pass. Use that if you will. I'm not an affiliate or anything. That's just what I'm going to use. What
about the one on the iPhone? What about the iPhone when it saves all your passwords? What do you think about that?
Oh, when Keychain saves it for you to your Keychain wallet. I mean, it can be breached. It can be downloaded. It can be breached, just like all those LastPass vaults. So play at your own risk. But what I do is I use a password vault, but I use Assault too. So I intentionally store incorrect passwords in browser so that anyone who compromises my session will autofill 1,000 times and get frustrated. I purposefully store incomplete passwords in my password vault. And so if you're going to memorize a 6-character password, memorize the 6 characters that only you know to add on to the end of that autofilled password. It's not a really Assault. Assault is random characters you add and you hash it together with your password to increase randomizations and change the hash. It's not really Assault, but it does serve that function because I have now added randomization or added something that only I know to my password. So even if you had my vault, you still can't. You don't know how many characters you're missing. It's like you can't brute force a length you don't know. So length is important. Never tell someone your length. Longer is better than more complex. And also, if you're just sitting around, like microphone wall, window tree shoe picture is a long password and it's random and you change some characters and add some numbers on the end or whatever, you're good to go. That's pretty secure. More secure than password spring 2021 exclamation point. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh my God.
Please enable MFA wherever possible. It's not really two-factor authentication because usually a PIN and a password are both something you know, and to be true MFA, it has to be something you know, something you have, and something you are. But your face scan, something you are. Your password, something you know. A one-time asynchronous PIN token, another something you know. If you are able to enable MFA, enable MFA, please. Please.
So this is a question I'm going to leave everybody with. I know we're not doing final takeaways just yet, but what about when they start breaking through the biometrics finger, when you use your finger to open your phone or your face
or
to
deep
open the
fakes.
phone?
If I pull up a picture of you and I show your phone to it, it'll unlock.
Yeah.
Everything can be bypassed. You guys, a lot of things can be bypassed. These things are not foolproof. What I'm saying is maybe enough of these things in conjunction with each other, again, doesn't make you low-hanging fruit. Maybe the hacker gets bored and looks elsewhere. So your risk, from a cyber perspective, your risk equals your likelihood times your impact. The likelihood of vulnerability will be exploited times how bad if it's exploited. That's the risk. You're bringing that likelihood down the more of this shit you put on top of it. That's the goal. Make it too hard, they look elsewhere.
I mean, and if they keep coming at you, maybe just join them. Go be a hacker and get arrested. I mean, I feel like if they want to keep coming at me, maybe like I should just join. Can't beat them, join them, right? No, that's bad advice. Don't
learn the ways. No, definitely join me. Join me.
Well, on the good side, not on the. I was talking about joining the bad side.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay, and my last two things are: don't use business emails to sign up for things like Instagram and Fabletics and whatever. Stop using your business email other easily compromisable places, because half of the battle we have to guess is your username and your email and your domain and your naming convention. If you make that harder for us, again, maybe it takes us longer. It won't stop us, but it'll take us longer. Stop giving out your business email. And how you do that
according to Kaspersky, it pays well.
And how you do that on LinkedIn, by the way, is to use a veneer email. So like if you're zoom.us, maybe don't have all your employees use zoom.us to sign up for LinkedIn. Maybe also get zoom.io or zoom. Something else and make them sign up using that. So zoom.us is safe.
Or you can sign up as your primary email as your personal email, and then a secondary email is your work email. You can do that too. I mean, I don't know how safe that is, but yeah.
There are burner emails that exist. Like if someone makes you put in an email to use their Wi-Fi, it's like no@gmail.com, no number 10,441 @gmail.com. We all send them there, so no one has to deal with it. Okay, this is a 40-minute episode already.
All right, final takeaways. Final takeaways from me. Listen, I love you guys in the industry, customers. I love you guys to death. But if I come in and we meet and you waste my time and tell me that you're secure, you don't need my stuff. Now, if I reach out to you and then we take a meeting and you kick me out, that's fine. But if you come to me or whoever and say you're good, please just quit, because nobody is safe personally, professionally. And no, you don't want to have a bunch of tools and whatever's in your network, but do your security audits. Have your pen testers try to hack you. Get outside parties to do it. I know this all costs money and nobody wants to say they have money for this, but at the end of the day, just always remember how much it's going to cost you and the thousands to millions of other people that's going to affect. And in your personal life, do not click on anything or, watch a video that somebody sends you. Stop it. My Instagram got hacked. Yeah, because you're dumb and you friggin' clicked on something. Sorry. But
Erica needs more coffee. It's early.
No, I'm getting all worked up here. My face is getting red.
It's true. I sent Erica a join link the other week and she goes, "Is this malware?" I was like, "Oh, Erica, I love you." But question everything. She's like, "Meryl, did you send the link at this time?" I was like, "Yes, I did." She goes, "Okay, that's you." See, she's questioning. That's good. So my final takeaways for the organization: stop limiting your red teams and your pen testers. Do assume breach testing. Don't make us spend, like, you get 2 weeks, so 10 days of our time for your test period. Don't make us spend 8 of those days getting past your firewall, because we will, and it's a waste of everybody's time. Do assume breach testing, implement zero trust, stop limiting our scope. If it's in scope for lapses, it's in scope for us. and let us really give you your best shot. Your basic user, please stop using easy passwords. Stop it.
Please.
Because if I steal your Instagram, it's mine. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. But it's not ethical. But no, please be aware of the things you can do to protect yourself. Implement things that are very easy to implement. Use password wallets. Maybe write them down and keep them in a safe. Stop storing them in browser. Use longer passwords. Longer, easy to remember passwords. I don't care. Combine all 8 of your grandkids. Add a year and an exclamation point and some extra numbers. You're done. That's perfect. Just do what you can to keep yourself secure, because obviously the organizations out there with your data, although they're doing their best, they're not doing a great job all the time. So don't trust them that they're going to take care of your data. You take care of your data. That is my takeaway.
Yes.
All right.
We love y'all. Thank you for joining.
We
These
love
comments
you.
have been great.
We love you. Thank you for listening to us rant at you. Please go out there and be more secure. If you enjoyed hanging out with us this week, we go live every Wednesday at about 9:15 Pacific, 12:15 Eastern time. We are going to start doing monthly Q&As at the end of the month. So the first one coming up on hiring, tips to get hired, job searching, stuff like that. Coming up at the end of February, there will be an announcement. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, please tell us. And if you did not, please also tell us. We love the negative feedback. It's engagement. And also, we can't change if we don't know what you hate. Other than that, please like, share, and subscribe. It costs you absolutely nothing. It is the best way to support us, to get our message out to other people. And with that, we, the Cyber Queens, love you. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was a good one. That was a pretty good one. I'm pretty proud of us. Yes.
Yes.